Good morning and welcome to another episode of Josh and Pat. I'm Joshua Klein, joined by Patrick Cassett. And are the Bengals cursed?
It's at the bottom of your screen. Burrow to the end zone. Intercepted. Picked off by Stone. Geno Stone with blockers in front, and he goes out of bounds.
After starting out 0-2, the question must be asked, is Joe Burrow and the Bengals cursed? Now, before Joe was in the Tiger business, there was a man who owned the Tiger business. That man, of course, being the star of the Netflix series and 2024 presidential candidate, Joe Exotic. Now, Joe has recently found himself in some legal troubles and needs $20,000 to hire an attorney and get out of jail. Now, Joe Burrow, biggest contract in NFL history, Joe Burrow, recently got a letter that reads as follows. I see you in the news, magazines, as well as yourself calling you the Tiger King. I have been the Tiger King before you got out of high school. Tiger King is my trademark and my intellectual property. How about doing a good deed and helping me raise $20,000 for a down payment to hire attorneys? So the question now remains, will the Bengals win a game until Joe Burrow helps Tiger King get out of jail? Patrick.
I'll tell you what, the Bengals have been real quiet since this one came out, right, Josh?
I mean, they've been quiet since the beginning of the year, so yes.
Yeah, so it turns out if you are Joe Exotic, you get the 20 grand from Joe Burrow because he's doing the math here, Josh. He's going, this guy just got a lot of $1 million. Can I just get the 20 grand? He just wants the 20 grand. Just a down payment. No big deal. I'm sure Joe can get it to him later. But he's saying if he gets the 20 grand, he gets some good karma, that being Joe Burrow. So now
That's
we're
what
saying,
he says.
Is
He
it the
says
Joe Exotic
maybe-
curse?
That's what people are asking. He says, maybe paying it forward, God might help you win the Super Bowl this year, and I could go home for Christmas. So that's telling me if Joe Burrow does it, they get that little boost. They get that Joe Exotic Tiger King approval. You know, and maybe, Patrick, just maybe, if Joe Burrow helps him out, he'll let it slide, him calling him the Tiger King. Because, by the way, it doesn't mention it in this, but I think he still wants the Tiger King stuff to chill out, you know? He's like, hey, help me out, the $20,000, and never call yourself the Tiger King again, and we're settled. Now, he doesn't say that explicitly, but it is implied. But on the flip side of this, Patrick, it also kind of implies that if he doesn't give him the $20,000, well, God's not helping him out. In fact,
and
no one's helping him out.
And it's clear to Joe Exotic that he thinks Joe Burrow is taking the nickname Tiger King. When we think about it, we've heard Joe Burrow be called Joe Shiesty, Joe Cool, Joey Franchise, Joe Burr, Smokin' Joe, Jackpot Joey. And now we add Tiger King. I'll tell you what, he could have really used that good karma against the Ravens on Sunday.
Most definitely could have. And you're right, that is an interesting point about Joe Burrow does have a lot of nicknames. And at some point, how many nicknames is too many nicknames? You know, that's what I want to know. Just pick one and stick with it. You know, you never hear the greatest players of all time have 60 different nicknames. What is Deion Sanders' nickname?
Prime.
Well, I guess some people say prime time.
Prime time, but I would argue, I think there's leeway there, Josh.
Yeah. Prime is just the nickname for prime time, so it's okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right, though. They could have used it against the Ravens. They didn't look great, Patrick. And some are saying that Joe Burrow doesn't look healthy. Now, another group of people are also saying, and maybe I'm one of them, that he might have been playing up the limp at the end there. If you saw at the end of the game, Joe Burrow going to shake the hands, pretty much walking like he didn't have two legs. Like he was a one-leg guy with a peg leg on his other leg. And so was he playing that up because he lost and it was embarrassing? There's a chance. Or maybe he's that hurt. I don't know.
Here's the thing, Josh. My sources told me today he re-aggravated that calf injury against the Ravens. But my sources also
so
told
it's not
me
his fault.
Right. not his fault. My sources also told me that his calf was fine coming into the season and that missing all the training camp was not going to be a hurdle for this offense. And then we see Joe Burrow, week 1, 82 yards, comes out first half against the Ravens, really struggles, then tries to get that calf going in the second half, and he throws a pick. So people are saying, Josh, people are saying that maybe Joe Burrow took a look around, saw the Bengals record, and said, that's right, I'm hurt.
Well, not just the Bengals record this year. We're talking about the Bengals record against the Bengals overall. They're now 7-2 or against 2-7 against the Ravens. Lamar Jackson
starts.
led Ravens.
Yes.
So you look at the numbers and it's not looking good for Joe. Now Joe Burrow wasn't a part of all of those games. You have to remember that. Take into consideration that. But Lamar Jackson plays good against the Bengals, and he's been sitting on this one for a while because remember, he did have to watch Tyler Huntley go into Cincinnati for the playoffs and try to lead this team. Not even or was it? Yes.
Well, the last 3 times the Ravens have gone to Cincinnati, here were your starting quarterbacks. 2021, Josh Johnson. 2022, Anthony Brown.
Ooh.
2022-23 playoffs, Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, so Lamar's been sitting on this
Tyler
one for
Huntley,
a while.
Josh. Pro Bowl Tyler
Pro
Huntley.
Bowl. Yeah, he is a Pro Bowler, so it wasn't too much of a drop off. The Ravens look great. Bengals have real issues. I mean, is Jamar Chase even good? That's the question I want to know because I've been told that Jamar Chase is basically Justin Jefferson equivalent. You know, they're the same guy, just copy paste.
Yeah,
I have not found that to be the case.
And I heard, Josh, contract negotiations aren't going with great with T. Higgins. So if you think that you're not going to pay the one receiver, you think you would make the other one happy and give him the ball. But it looks like that wasn't the case. But you got to remember, I mean, the Ravens, it wasn't like the Ravens were, hurt in the secondary or anything today. So it's not like they could have tried to exploit that. Yeah. So it obviously, things were out of the Bengals' control today.
So, I mean, ultimately, it comes down to whether they're going to pay Joe Exotic or not. And Joe Burrow has the money. And granted, like the Bengals, I don't think the Bengals fans get a cop-out. Joe Burrow needs to be a part of this somehow. Like the Bengals fans can't just raise the money themselves. I think Joe Burrow needs to be a part of it to pay it forward the right way. He has to be involved. And if Joe Exotic stays in prison, now I'm not saying he deserves to be in prison or not be in prison. All I'm saying, if he's still in prison come December, well, good luck. Good luck,
Josh,
Bengals. That's all I want to say when you're trying to make a push in the playoffs. If you even make the playoffs.
I think the deadline's before Christmas, Josh, because you got to get the wheels moving, right? You got to get the plans and the attorneys going. So I think the deadline's sooner than Christmas.
Yeah, no, it's insane. Patrick, I think one thing that happened today that we really have to touch on, and moving on from the Bengals, because I think that situation pretty much is written itself. They know what they need to do. If they do it, they might have success. If they don't do it, we know what their season is going to look like. But we're going to talk about a team who scored more points than the Bengals have in both games combined, but this team only took 2 quarters to do it. And that's the New York Giants. The New York Giants lost their first game 40-0 in New York, right? And then this game today or yesterday was on pace to lose 40-0 again. They were down 20-0 at half, and then Daniel Jones said, "You know what? Now it's time to play good football. Now it's time to take the ball in my hands and show the world that I'm not overpaid, that I'm paid just the right amount, and that I deserve to be a professional quarterback." And he goes out and he wills his team against playoff-adjacent quarterback Joshua Dobbs, who we know is capable of doing a lot of things. And the Giants, they go out and they get it done. Now, losing Saquon is a tough one. It's tough. Now, they are saying it's just an ankle sprain, so hopefully that is the case, because if not, it seems like That's most of their offense. And
Yeah.
and that's just because Daniel Jones has the IQ to know to hand off the ball to Saquon, you know?
Well,
and that's
right,
and
'cause
that, and
Josh-
that really is a Daniel Jones stat. But I mean, they looked okay, Patrick. Tell me what you thought about this game.
Right, because you got to remember, Daniel Jones, he's got the Duke education, so he knows, hey,
Yeah.
I got to hand it off to Saquon. So, look, great job, Duke. Great job by the Blue Devils to be able to teach their quarterbacks how to hand off the ball properly. So, you got to give a shout out to the North Carolina institution there. The other thing is as you start looking around,
the
you're
Harvard
saying,
of
hey,
North Carolina.
it's the Harvard of North Carolina, not the Harvard of the South. No. The Harvard of North Carolina.
Oh yeah,
you're
Harvard
right,
of
Josh.
South. Sorry, you're right. It's more than North Carolina. It is the Harvard.
No.
Of the South.
I think Vanderbilt's the Harvard of the South, but look, Daniel Jones can argue that. What we can argue here is that the Giants may be back, Josh. Giants may be back because the second half, man, I'll tell you what, they got the momentum going.
Yeah, and they're primed to potentially go on an all-time run here, Patrick. If you think about it, and they, what better way to get it going than on a Thursday night game in San Francisco against what people are saying is the best team in the NFL, and maybe they can get a statement win here. And now, granted, Saquon Barkley playing in that game is definitely gonna help their chances. But the way I saw Daniel Jones moving the ball, running it himself, that tells me, hey, maybe they'll be all right. So that's and you have to feel good about the Giants. On the flip side of the ball, you know, Arizona Cardinals, they got a lot to be optimistic about. Unfortunately, I don't think Caleb Williams is one of those things, strictly because Joshua Dobbs seems to be playing too good. And
plays with too much heart.
If they just have a good defense in the second half there, they probably win that game.
Yeah, just plays with too much heart, too much hustle.
So, and I feel bad for Cardinals fans because what happens at the end of the season when Joshua Dobbs is playing great, and maybe they don't have the team to potentially make a push in the playoffs, and then Kyler Murray comes back, and it's like, okay, well, we got Joshua Dobbs pretty good, Kyler Murray pretty good, but we don't have Caleb Williams, which not great. What do you do? I don't know. That's a question for their new coach, who
and Josh, you got to remember
is motivating these boys to play hard.
Kyler Murray is going to be coming off the ACL injury, and we know that after an ACL injury, you lose an inch, right? So he's already one of the smallest quarterbacks in the league, and now he's going to drop even smaller in his height wise. I mean,
that's not good.
It's going to be an issue.
Yeah, not great. Patrick, there's another team in New York that didn't have as great of a day as the Giants, though, and that is the Jets. Now, the Jets, they had a big Week 1 win against the Bills, and they were celebrating. Now, were they celebrating in denial? Probably is the answer, because they did lose their starting quarterback, future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers. Now, the conversation what I was told, Patrick, all week after saying that Zach Wilson is going to be your best case and your best bet to get Caleb Williams, the conversation that Jets fans were telling me was that no, Josh, Zach Wilson is unproven and he might be able to go out there and ball. They said, no, Josh, that Jets defense is way too good to get Caleb Williams. Well, they lost today and it wasn't close, Patrick. They go out there and they play the Cowboys. Granted, very good, but they lose by 20 points.
Yeah.
And you know who's not happy? Breece Hall's not happy. Sauce Gardner's not happy. And it feels like that building is collapsing.
Yeah. Look, Zach Wilson goes out there, he loses by 20. And the rest of the team, like you said, Josh, they are not happy. The Jets look like they've spent the last week thinking about the Roman Empire and not about the Cowboys defense. And so now you're looking here and you're 1-1. You've lost against an NFC foe that some are saying the Cowboys are back. Zach Wilson's got to figure this out.
I have heard that.
Yeah, Zach Wilson's got to figure this out because There's some veteran quarterbacks out there, Josh. I mean, look, we've talked about it. You can bring in an elite quarterback. Joe Flacco is on the market and is used to the building. You can bring him in. He's available.
I bet you his key card still works.
Mm-hmm. This isn't a hard knock situation where your key card doesn't work one day. No, Flacco, he's got the golden key
If
card.
you have Joe Flacco on your team at any point, you never deactivate that key card. You leave it open because anytime he can walk in that building, and when he walks in, it's his building.
Elite.
That's like saying do you don't think that Tom Brady's key card still works in Tampa Bay? No, it still works. And granted, doesn't seem like they need him. We'll get to that in a second. But going back to the Jets, Breece Hall is commenting, and now, granted, remember this, Patrick. Breece Hall last year was a stud. He gets hurt. People say, "Oh no, this is not good." Breece Hall is very good. So he comes back, and everyone thought he was due for a breakout year, except for the Jets, because they went and they signed veteran running back Dalvin Cook in a market where it felt like running backs were a dime a dozen.
Right.
They go get Dalvin Cook, and all of a sudden, Breece Hall is an afterthought. And he runs hard. It's not like he's not playing well, but he only gets 4 carries today, and he wants everyone to know he's not happy. And he's not happy. It's not that he's not happy that their starting Hall of Fame quarterback got hurt. He's not happy because he's not getting the touches he feels like he is entitled to, deserves, and the amount of touches that would put his team in a position to win.
Yeah, that feels logical, Josh. I feel like there's not a whole lot of that going on with the Jets right now.
No, I mean, logic is what you're saying. There's not a whole lot of going on.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But they're in a position where they're rolling with Zach Wilson, and they're really hoping that Aaron Rodgers' experimental methods of recovery, and as am I, are going to somehow have him ready by week 7, which is kind of feels like what Aaron Rodgers' timeline is in his brain.
Right.
But I don't know if they're considering the alternate reality where maybe an injury like this takes a year for a reason, and maybe maybe.
I mean, look, don't worry about that at some point.
To find a quarterback, I'm not saying it, Patrick. I'm not saying it.
No,
I'm not saying Zach Wilson's not
Wouldn't
the guy.
Be us.
Because what do I know? A lot. The people in the TikTok comments will tell you I know nothing.
That they will say that.
I will say, it feels like you can't be losing 30-20 like that.
Yeah, that's. You know what? Hey, they'll get it together. They're the New York Jets.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they didn't lose as bad as their New York counterpart, so that's all that matters, really. So what's the deal with Sauce Gardner deleting his Twitter, Patrick?
Yeah, he's not having too much fun there. He feels like people are
it's
trying to tell him
he's because of his sophomore slump?
Yeah, people are trying to say he's in a sophomore slump. And you know what? He's saying that 4 receptions, 19 yards, that's what he's giving up. He's saying that's not a sophomore slump. So, look, it's not like the Jets have ever had a history of cornerbacks, getting a little emotional. So, yeah, nothing to worry about.
Nothing to worry about here. I'm sure everything's fine. Obviously they're going to be all right on the defensive side. Although in fantasy they didn't do what I needed them to do. So that's unfortunate. Moving on, Patrick, because that's doom and gloom. We're going to talk about a franchise here that's on the come up, even though they have won a Super Bowl within the last 3 years.
Yes,
and that franchise is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm just going to be the one to say it. Baker Mayfield is a top 5 quarterback in this league right now. I mean, Patrick, try to name all the quarterbacks that are better than Baker Mayfield. We got Patrick Mahomes,
1,
Lamar Jackson,
2,
Jalen Hurts,
3. I think that's the end of the conversation.
I mean, and we're talking about a guy, the last quarterback, Patrick, to go 2-0 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was a guy by the name of Tom Brady.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
So he's an elite company right now, and you kind of feel like, maybe a couple of the teams that lost today, i.e. the Rams, i.e. the Panthers, could have used a guy like him. Maybe they should have held on a little bit longer.
It shows you Baker wasn't the issue, Josh, because when you get Baker coming in, you get a healthy Baker. That's what we need. We need a Baker that's healthy. And when he comes in, he's showing off the arm, he's showing off the legs, and he's showing off the commercials. There's not a better guy in the commercial game than Baker Mayfield.
If we're talking about commercials, Baker Mayfield's top 5 quarterback of all time. So, yeah, you're 100% right, Patrick. He brings that star factor that you kind of need at quarterback. And listen, and unironically, is playing very well right now. Right. And Mike Evans might have a 10,000 yards by the end of the season in a big contract year. I mean, he might pigeonhole the Buccaneers and pretty much force their hand and force them to pay him like $100 million.
Yeah, and Josh, here's the thing. And the Buccaneers can do that because Baker Mayfield has been so unselfish and takes a discounted deal to get to Tampa Bay because he's got the commercial money, Josh. He's got all that money.
Yeah.
He's going to be a guy team first, and he's going to allow the Buccaneers to be able to spend that money elsewhere.
Yeah, those progressive checks. I mean, when you bundle your home and auto, you save money. When you tell people about bundling your home and auto, you make money.
Yeah.
And,
that's how it works.
So he's got the progressive checks. The Buccaneers are in a great spot in a pretty underwhelming division. Now we'll see what the Saints do tomorrow or tonight. We're definitely filming this on Monday here, guys.
Well, this is after midnight.
Oh yes, it is. Bingo.
Yep.
And so and yeah, good for them. Baker Mayfield takes a pay cut. We got another player, Patrick, who is one of the highest paid for his position and has not been performing. So, Justin Fields, a top 10 highest paid running back in the league, putting up miserable numbers this year.
Terrible numbers.
And we're talking about a guy who is paid more than Christian McCaffrey. Paid more
that's way wrong.
Than Jonathan Taylor.
Right.
And he's not putting out the production that you'd expect from a guy like that. Patrick, what's going on?
Yeah, so Justin Fields is putting up minuscule numbers as the Chicago Bears running back, and he's getting paid too much money to do so. When we look at and we break it down, he's getting paid more money than Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, Ezekiel Elliott, Travis Etienne, and Najee Harris. But he's putting up a fraction of the numbers. So clearly the Chicago offense has an issue. Now, could it be that they're using a running back in that quarterback position? That could be issue number one.
There's a chance.
There is a chance. But what do you think Khalil Herbert thinks right now when he's looking at the guy that's getting less numbers than him on the team, getting paid way more?
More money. Yeah, you can't feel good. You mentioned Breece Hall, Patrick. I don't think you can add him to that list as far as people who should be upset. I mean, Breece Hall only had 4 carries today, and I do believe
it's the same as Justin Fields.
Fields has same as Justin Fields. So yeah, right. Maybe there is a big disparity there. Yeah, it's just they got to do better. Personally, they did have a bounce back game today, and that's good for the Bears, I guess, organization as a whole. Now they do lose again to Baker Mayfield, pretty bad. But then again, so is every team who's faced Baker this year.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're not in good company. And that's just what happens when you face the Baker Mayfield-led Buccaneers, I guess. I mean, if we're talking about – I don't want to go back to Baker again. But if we're talking about statistically, Baker Mayfield on the Buccaneers has never lost a game. And if stats tell us anything, Baker Mayfield might never lose a game for the Buccaneers ever at this rate.
Right.
And so maybe they shouldn't be too concerned. The overpaid running back issue in the building, I don't think he's overpaid, Patrick. I think all running backs should be paid more, and that's my stance.
Good for you.
I don't want to stay here too long, but that's what I think. Titans, Patrick, and we have to talk about it. They lose today. No, they win today.
Lose. Yes,
they win today, but it took them going to overtime to do it. And the question I have to ask is, if Malik Willis was the starting quarterback, does this game have to go to overtime, or does it end in regulation with the Titans on top?
Absolutely not. And what I've been told this week from Titans fans is, if you put Malik Willis in, he adds another dimension to that offense. So instead, you're coming off a dismal performance of Ryan Tannehill against the Falcons. So what does Tannehill do this week? Well, we're talking shorter passes, even though he throws 24 times. He's 20 of 24, 246 yards. A QBR still only a 57. So now we're wondering, well, this guy only had 4 incompletions, and we still had to go to overtime against an 0-2 team? The time is now to make the change to Malik Willis. And the Titans can't look back.
No, I agree. You have to take the chance. And you look at DeAndre Hopkins' production today, not great. You have to imagine that Malik is going to chuck it up to him at the very least.
They're probably best friends.
They're probably, they're 100% boys. I'd imagine that Malik Willis was probably influential in getting DeAndre Hopkins into the Titans building. And so that's what you're hoping if you're a Titans fan. If you're Will Levis, you're praying that Malik never sees the field, because once he does, it's going to be his team. And so I'm going to be very interested to see how they handle the situation moving forward. So that's that talk. Moving along, we got a couple things left to hit here. Justin Herbert, obviously. Oh wait, did they play the Titans today, Patrick?
Yeah, they did.
So they lost?
Wait,
that can't be right.
Justin Herbert's team, right? He plays for the Chargers.
Justin Herbert's played for the Chargers? No.
They look
that would make sense to me, because I've been told that Justin Herbert is actually an all-time quarterback talent. I've been told, as far as pure arm talent, he's the best in the league.
I'll double check it. I think the Chargers are 0-2 though. Yeah, no, they did play the Titans today. That's wild.
Man, well, who'd they play the first week? It was Dolphins.
Dolphins. That's right.
Dolphins are good though, so I mean, definitely no need to be concerned here, because clearly Justin Herbert, he's a proven winner. So you start 0-2, but it's a similar case to Joe Burrow. It's like clearly a proven winner who you start 0-2, they're going to figure it out and they're going to get back on track, because Justin Herbert's MVPs and playoff wins. They'll all tell you that this is a team that's built for the long haul, and they're going to be just fine, if I had to guess.
100%, Josh. And I'm sure, you know what? They're Los Angeles' favorite team. So when they come home, I'm sure they're going to have support rallied around them, and the fans will really, really be backing the boys,
Yeah. Well, especially with those AI fans. I mean... Patrick, I'm just going to say it. I'm not as good as an AI fan.
No.
I'm not programmed. I have flaws in my fanhood, There are moments I doubt. There are moments that I don't cheer loud enough. And I take the responsibility of that, because I'm on the pursuit of being the perfect fan, but we all fall short. Those AI fans, though, feels like they get it right. And so if you have a franchise with the AI fans, immediately that fan base is elevated to the top tier. And so you're right. When they come back, you already know those AI fans, they're probably, interpreting their flight data, making sure that everything's a smooth landing. I mean, you have to be very excited if you're the Chargers there. Bright future ahead for this season. So pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, good for them.
Cool. Last thing on the docket, Picks and Pancakes pick of the week is tonight's Browns versus Steelers game. Let's roll it.
All right, everybody. It's time for another episode of Picks and Pancakes. Yes, that's right. Picks and Pancakes. I'm going to go all the way to Monday night for my pick. And I'm picking the Steelers. I mean, the Browns slow down the Bengals with the mud. They played Joe Burrow, who didn't have a snap in preseason.
We are here to do a job, not channel Scrooge McDuck. You hearing me? I hear you.
A little rusty. The Steelers played a good 49ers team and looked bad. But you know what? The Niners always shine under the lights, especially since Mike Tomlin has been the coach. 19-3 on Monday Night Football. And you know what? I expect that to continue. Steelers win the game, upset as a home dog. It's time for another episode of Picks and Pancakes.
Shout out Frank the Tank for being this week's guest picker. We appreciate you, Frank. Now this is one of those situations, Patrick, and I wrote about it on the site. I had to really separate the professional Josh Klein and the personal Josh Klein here, because obviously, professionally, I want the show to succeed. I want, our first guest picker ever to succeed as far as, what is the potential for future guest pickers. And so I'm going to root for that. But personally, I'm really hoping for a Browns-Bengals tie here, which would be a push on a money line bet. I'm correct, right?
That's generally how that works.
No, it'd just be a loss. No, it'd just be a loss.
Yeah, it would be a loss.
So that's the tough thing, because it's like my head versus my heart kind of thing. Do you like this pick, Patrick? I mean, he does make some great points as far as Tomlin's record and the Monday Night Football. They did have a bad loss. They want to kind of redeem themselves because they kind of were the laughing stock of the league there.
Well, and you got to remember, Josh, Frank, he has his sports website, Sports Encyclopedia. And so he knows all the stats to back it up. So Frank's saying we got to roll with the Steelers. Well, guess what? We got to roll with the Steelers then, Josh.
I guess so. I mean, Frank said it, not me. And if I said it, it would be 100% a lock. But
no.
But because Frank said it, it's probably 98%. So
right.
So we feel pretty good about it. We're going to be riding that. And so if you want to read the full article on that game, make sure you guys go to picksandpancakes.com. If you're still watching at this point, make sure you guys DM us on Instagram at picksandpancakes, and we will get you a free mug / a $10 McDonald's gift card. Also, go to picksandpancakes.shop. That's where you can find all of the merch, including this beautiful hoodie that I'm wearing. It could be yours. Listen, I love this thing. I wear it probably too much. It might be every day. It wasn't even cold today, and I wore it because I was like, it feels good. It's comfortable.
But it's comfortable. It's a comfortable.
Oh, the material is super nice. It's comfortable. The logo looks really nice.
Guys,
really nice, it's your next hoodie, especially as you're going into the fall season. Make sure you guys go to picksandpancakes.shop. Anyway, guys, you have a wonderful week. We'll see you guys tonight for our TikTok live watch along. That's exclusively on our TikTok page. Make sure you guys join along. We really appreciate you sticking and supporting us. And we'll see you guys tonight. A peace.